Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting. I'd like to call the Monday, November 12th, 2018 City Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon.
Here.
Alderman Devine.
Here.
Alderman Curry.
Here.
Alderman Shaker.
Here.
Alderman Glad.
Here.
Alderman Santee.
Here.
Mayor Jet.
Here. If you could, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the fiscal year 2017-18 annual financial report conducted by Eder Casella Company. We have a presentation.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My name is Rachel Lesperance. I work with Eder Casella, and we did the annual audit this year for the financial statements. But before I get into the nitty gritty, I just want to say that I think you guys are all making McHenry a great place to live. My husband and I bought our first house on Green Street just a year ago, and we really love living here. So thank you. Fun little tidbit is that the house we bought used to be owned by the mayor from the 60s and 70s, Don Doherty. So it's been fun getting to know him and hearing a bit of the history.
Maybe like your alderman.
Anyway, in regards to the audit, everything went very well. Derek, Carolyn, and the entire finance department is very easy to work with and responsive, and it's just a nice, easy audit. We like working with them. We issued an unmodified opinion and no management letter, so that means that we didn't find anything during our audit that needed to be communicated to the board in regards to deficiencies in internal controls or material weaknesses. Everything was great. You'll notice when you're looking at the audit report that it's pretty similar to prior years. There were no new standards implemented this year. The biggest change you'll see is that this year you weren't required to undergo a single audit. So that means that you received or you expended less than $750,000 in federal funds. So even though you received money from the IEPA loan for the wastewater treatment plant, only $611,000 of those are considered to be federal monies by the IEPA. So single audit, we didn't have to do that this year. That just means the audit process was less rigorous as compared to a prior year in regards to the federal funds. Financially, looking at your general fund balance, the unrestricted balance is sitting at about, let's see, 12.8 million. I'm sorry, that's the overall governmental fund balance, 12.8 million. So that's about 6 months worth of expenditures. We like to see between 6 months and 2 years, so you're doing okay. And then for your water sewer fund, the fund balance was 45 million. Approximately 41 million of that represents capital assets such as infrastructure and equipment. So that leaves about 4 million of unrestricted fund balance, or about 5 months worth of expenses based on last year's numbers. Your general fund, you do have a fund balance policy that says that you'd prefer to have 120 days worth of expenditures in your unrestricted fund balance, and you were short by about $83,000. So it's good to just come up with some sort of plan to try to replenish those unrestricted funds. And that's also the reason that you didn't have any excess funds to transfer to your capital projects fund this year. So does anyone have any questions? Scott?
Yeah, Rachel, I do have a quick question. On the unassigned general fund balance, it states in there there's 33%, which would be 4 months, which is what our policy states. But the $83,000 short is actually about a little over 1% of the total. So should it really say 33%, or is it more like 32? I just noticed that today when I was going through it. So.
Sure. The fund balance policy is based on the next year's budgeted expenditures.
Right.
So that might be where your difference is coming from. Not quite sure. What page are you looking at?
the summary, you showed the next, I believe it's the next budgeted year is should be $7,350,000.
Right, but your unrestricted fund balance in just the general fund is about 7.2.
Correct. Okay, that's probably the difference. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Mayor?
Yes, Scott?
Just a comment on there's been several times people raise questions on what are our tax abatement agreements and things like that. So just for the rest of council, if you want to look at those, they're all actually in this document. And they're in the document, page 46, 47. They're in your packet, page 71, 72. I just thought some of you might be interested in that because we've asked it's come up several times. Oh, well, what was that agreement and what was the criteria? It's actually spelled out pretty well in there. It's in summary form, so just might be something you want to take a look at. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to add an agenda item here for a presentation by McHenry Chamber of Commerce for an update, their yearly update here. So you can come on up to the podium.
Good evening. McHenry Chamber Board Member Mike Moracek. We just would like to provide a little update of the past few months, year of the progress. First off, thank you, Mayor, City Council, Police Chief, and all supporting staff for Fiesta Days. Without your support, that event would not be a success as it is. We are in planning for 2019. We have committed to a carnival that has been successful at Crystal Lake, so we've already committed to that. We are working on the entertainment piece. We are for sure will be doing the free Sunday again. That's been a good piece that we feel we've added, so that'll continue. And we will have more updates, getting more specific into the scheduling in January. November 2nd, we hosted our 37th Scramble. We hosted over 165 businesses from the McHenry County area and surrounding the McHenry County area. This is one of our bigger events for the year. We've also, through that event, also have trained 2 other chambers in the area that have learned how to host those events. So we are pretty proud of that event. This year, we had, sorry, I'm trying to read my notes here. Again, for the Scramble itself, we've had the city participation. Specifically this year we had Dorothy Wolf attend, so we do appreciate the city's participation in the Scrambles. And we'll turn over to Christina.
Hello, I'm Christina Hostico. I'm the secretary of the McHenry Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. The Chamber Board wishes to thank City Council for approving the downtown Uncorked, and especially Bill Hobson and his staff for beautifying the streets in downtown McHenry with fall decor right before the event. Downtown Uncorked is a very popular event in the community, selling out this year in 1 week. Our downtown merchants love the event as it pulls in people into the stores purchasing their merchandise. And I do want to say that it also pulls 300 people, and a lot of them are from out of town. Let's see, some have stated that it is their top sales day of the year. We did take special note that one of our most popular pours of the wine was Mayor Wayne Jett. Somehow,
I might have overserved.
somehow, some way, he had the longest lines.
We're so proud.
And we thank our mayor for his participation. The chamber just held its Veterans Expo at the VFW last week. 30 vendors in attendance. Explained to veterans the benefits of doing business in McHenry, along with veteran agencies who explained unused veterans programs. We appreciate the opportunity to come before the council. And to close, I would like to invite all of you to celebrate the holiday season with the chamber members attending the chamber's Christmas party on December 4th at 31 North. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just wanted,
I would just like to add that, as was stated earlier, Dorothy was at the chamber. I was there representing my counseling practice, but always wearing two hats, was able, not only in addition to the connections that Dorothy made, also hooked her up with several other businesses. So it really does show how the chamber and the city can work together. And Dorothy came across someone who was looking for some warehouse space, and I was able to connect someone who potentially wanted to do some business with the city. So it was with Dorothy. So it really is a great collaboration. So I just wanted to add on to that. So thank you.
And I also just want to say thank you very much to the Chamber of Commerce, Kay Bates, and everyone that you guys do a lot in the community, and excited about the upcoming year and all these events and the craziness, but thank you very much for all you do in the community.
Thank you for support.
Before I get going with the other agenda items, I just want to honor a few veterans that are in the house tonight. Alderman Pat Devine, Ross Pelarecki, Director of Community Development, and Derek Moorfield here, City Administrator. Thank you all for your service, and I and the City of McHenry and everyone else, thank you. Is there anyone else here this evening that's a veteran? Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Moving on to the first public hearing here this evening. This time I'd like to call the public hearing to order at 7:14 p.m. regarding public hearing on the proposed amendment of the annexation agreement with Heritage Point Estates LLC, Kunat Incorporated, for the Patriot Estates subdivision. Is there any comments from the public at this time?
What the applicant's doing is they're requesting a reduction of their impact fees similar to what we did a few weeks ago for another developer. So they're just following suit.
Council, any discussion? Alderman Schaefer?
Just want to confirm, this is for permits that are existing from this date going forward, not anything that's already been pulled for this year, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, just the fact that if you look at the packet at the old annexation agreement, I voted no on the subdivision. I didn't feel that Patriot Estates was paying their fair share of the infrastructures around it, as far as the roads and everything else, and there were no dedications. I felt that at that time that they should have, on the annexation agreement, there should have been more that recorded, and the density that was given there was just unbelievable. And for that reason, again, I won't take and vote yes for this tonight either. I just feel that Patriot Estates has already gotten quite a few breaks from the city on this subdivision, and I'm not willing to go any further than that. And again, that's my opinion, and that's where I stand.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Alderman Vic Santee.
I'll make that motion, close the hearing.
Second. Alderman Jerry Condon. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is item 6. I'm looking for a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with Heritage Point Estates LLC, Kunat Incorporated, for the Patriot Estates subdivision relative to the reduction of the impact fees through September 24th, 2019. Alderman Condon.
I will make the motion as just presented.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Devine. Discussion on this item? Alderman Curry?
Yeah, I had asked a question earlier about this, when in comparing this with the next item on the next public hearing, where the numbers didn't seem to be, it appeared like this one was already paying a lot less than than what the Legend Lakes one was, for example, even if we reduce theirs. The reality is, and I was gonna wait until we got to that one, but I think it's appropriate now. The reality with that difference is, when you look at those totals, is that there is an add up wrong on the Legend Lakes one, so it shows 17,900 instead of, it would be about 8,000 or something like that.
8,200.
Okay.
So the reduction on the Legend Lakes, when we get to that, would be 4190.
Yeah, so I was looking at the difference between the two, and it looked like this one was already half of what the other one was paying, so thank you for clearing that up, because it's obviously they're pretty close.
Right.
So.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
No.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Mayor Jack?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. I will call the public hearing to order at 7:18 p.m. Regarding the public hearing for the proposed amendment annexation agreement with TRC Venture 2 LLC for the Legend Lake subdivision. At this time, I'd like to open up for public input, public comment at this time. I see none. Any public, any city council comment? Discussion? None? At this time, looking for a motion to close the public hearing. Alderman Santee?
I'll make that motion.
Second, Alderman Curry.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Thank you, council. The next item is item 8, a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the mayor's execution of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement with TRC Venture 2 LLC for the Legend Lake subdivision relative to the reduction of the impact fees through September 24th, 2019.
That's TRG, not C, sorry. It's supposed to be TRG.
TRG. September 24th, 2019. Alderman Devine, second. Alderman Condon. Discussion on this item. Clerk, please go
Well,
ahead.
again, it'll be, rather than what's shown here, it's gonna be 4,100.
Right, so where the mistake came in is I included the sewer and water capital development fees, but I didn't have a line item for it, and I failed to change the bottom line. So the bottom line, instead of 17,894, is actually 8,200 and 8,200. So the reduction amount is is 4,190.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Schaefer.
And this is the same too from today's date?
Correct.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Mayor Jack?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any member of the public wishing to address the council as it pertains to the consent agenda or items that are not on the action items this evening? See none. Moving on to the next item is the item 10 consent agenda. I'd like to ask council if they would like to pull any items off the consent agenda for separate consideration. See none. At this time, looking for a motion to approve the following consent agendas, items 10A through 10F. Alderman Schaefer,
I'll make that motion.
second. Alderman Curry,
Second.
discussion on these items. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 11A, motion to approve a resolution estimating the property tax levy request for 2018 collected in 2019 at $4,618,786 and establish the date of December 3rd, 2018 to conduct a public hearing to consider approval of the property tax levy. At This time, go ahead and pass it over to Director Lynch.
Thank you. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide City Council with information needed for the establishment of the 2018 property tax levy amount and for the adoption of a resolution identifying the levy amount to be requested and establishing Monday, December 3rd at 7 as the date and time for the property tax levy public hearing and consideration of the 2018 property tax levy ordinance.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask for public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment on this item? Switching it over to council. Any discussion on this item? Alderman McHenry?
Just more of a statement. Having read through the Finance Committee minutes from the last couple of meetings and the information that was provided by staff, it is painfully obvious that we are struggling to stay afloat financially. I think we've been very responsible in how we've managed our money. That said, in today's economy, it's hard to justify any type of property increase because, and I don't think it's just McHenry, I think it's everyone in Illinois, are heavily burdened with the property tax. That said, I do think that, I caution councils moving forward. I won't be here to live out the next budget year on this council, so it's not going to be on my shoulders, but I am concerned about moving forward, and I think a lot of times the general public doesn't understand that it's not just maintaining the services. When we have a flat levy, that means that because of cost of living, everything is going up, but we're collecting less. And so we're trying to balance with less money providing the same services, and that's just not realistic. So while I do support keeping a flat levy, it's going to be challenging, and that falls as a burden on most of our directors who put together their budgets, and I do think that we need to be very careful. So just cautionary tale that I think it says a lot for the city that we've been able to do so well in having a flat rate and even with a reduction for all these years. But I do caution that at some point that something has to give. So just a cautionary note. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Alderman Curry?
Yeah, well, we discussed this in the committee meeting, and the committee had forwarded this as a recommendation to keep a flat levy. The different, if we were following the PTEL amounts, which I realize we're not required to do, we're looking at $118,000 is what this would amount to if we were to invoke a property tax increase. We are looking at other possibilities. If we feel like we need, and it's not a given, but if we feel like we need to look at revenue streams, that we can look at other things that don't hit the property taxpayer. And so we are considering those items. We had a discussion on today and in the prior meeting, so that is being looked at. But for now, we're recommending that we keep the flat levy because I don't think it's it's always in the news about property. People are tired of paying property tax and tired of property tax increases. So we're sympathetic to that, obviously, and I think there's other ways that we can look at it should the need be there.
Great.
Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I also feel again, I made the motion 8 years ago for a flat levy, which most of the council took and supported it except for one. And it has been, and I know Alderman Curry got us a 3% decrease 1 year. However, there are a lot of things that we lack as far as constant maintenance of some of our infrastructure. And sooner or later, we will have to pay the price on that. One of the things that I'd like to look at, and maybe staff could look into before the public hearing is one of the revenue streams could possibly be a property transfer tax. They have it in the state. I know there have been a couple municipalities have actually implemented it, and that would probably bring in a vast amount more than what the PTEL would bring in. Not that we're limited to it, but that's, I know, the first couple of years, that's what we were using. And possibly that would be a nice revenue stream to do some of the improvements that we need to do as far as our infrastructure over the future. Like staff to look at that and see if we could have some information for when we do our public hearing.
Okay. Alderman Cannon?
That is actually something that the Community Development Committee has looked at and several times, and we have declined to proceed with that because for a variety of reasons. So that has been looked at, and as a committee as a whole, we've declined to proceed.
A committee of the whole, we declined it?
No. The
Oh, I thought
community
you just said committee of the whole declined it.
No, I said the Community Development
Oh.
Committee as a whole.
Okay,
So the 3 members of the Community Development Committee.
gotcha. So it hasn't been brought up to the council. Could staff bring up some information for us? I think it's something that we should really look at.
It's all in the Community Development
I'm sorry,
minutes.
I've got the floor right now.
Actually, I had it.
Point of order.
We're not called on by.
Okay. All I'm saying is that if we look at that in the sense that it's negotiable between the buyer and seller who pays the transfer fee. It goes on the closing. If it's the buyer, it goes into their mortgage, in which they pay it off in 30 years or however long they take their mortgage. But it does help as far as keeping our property taxes for everybody in general at a much more even keel. And that's why I just think we should look at it as far as the possibilities. And I think Evanston is one of the cities that are at it. And maybe at least if nothing else, you could see how it works there and whether or not, and what they use the revenue for. I know reading some discussions state that they put it that some of these communities are doing that to keep people from leaving, especially if they have higher priced homes and everything else. And that's not the intent. The intent is to look at, again, like Alderman Curry said, other avenues as far as revenues, because that's what the Finance Committee should be doing. And I think it's a lot fairer to the residents of the city of McHenry as far as the fact that we try to keep this property tax flat, and yet maybe even improve the services that we have. Thank you.
Alderman Cannon?
I would suggest that Alderman Glad read the community development minutes from the several meetings that we had, because it was thoroughly discussed, and all the information that he just spoke about was detailed in those minutes.
Yeah, what we can do is go back and get that information and provide it to council. I mean, I'm sure that if Doug was involved with it, I'm sure there was quite a bit of an investigation that went into it and
It was
information provided.
It was Director Palarecki.
Okay. Sorry, Doug.
Other than not so much.
Not so much, right? Sorry.
Half a
I'll pick
page.
it up and forward it on to council.
Just so we get things straight, there are 7 aldermen in this council, and I just feel that all 7 aldermen should be able to look at it and discuss it amongst themselves. Just because it went to a committee and it didn't go through with the committee doesn't mean necessarily that the council as a whole are publicly discussing it. Thank you.
Alderman Curry?
Yeah, just to comment on today's finance committee meeting when we talked about this subject, that was an item that I brought up, and I had asked Director Lynch to look into a little bit. I was unaware it had been discussed before, so I'll be interested to read those minutes.
We'll get that to you. Any other discussion on this item? This time, looking for a motion to approve agenda item 11A as presented. Alderman Schaefer,
Make that motion.
second. Alderman Santi,
I will second the motion.
discussion on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Devine? Yes. Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item is to award a construction bid to Martum Construction in the amount of $299,857 for the development of the concession building with washrooms and storage at Fox Ridge Park. I'm going to open it up to the public. Is there any public comment on this item? See none.
Sorry, that's me.
It's you.
Yeah, I'm pinch hitting for Director Hobson tonight. So council is being requested to award a bid, or we're seeking authorization to award a bid for construction and installation of a concession building that includes a washroom and storage area at Fox Ridge Park. This was a project that was included as part of the 18-19 budget. Actually, there was $400,000 identified and approved within the Park Developer Donations Fund for a couple of projects. This one, and also the renovation of the facility that's currently at Veterans Park. Obviously, until we go through the bid process, that's just a budget number, and we don't have the actual numbers till we have them bid. We went through that process with the Fox Ridge Park facility. The bids, there were 6 bids that were received on time, ranging from the low of $299,857, which was provided by Martum Construction, all the way up to $462,500. The list of individuals or list of bidders is provided in here for council. We asked Chad to be here from HR Green. They provided some assistance with the evaluation in terms of meeting the bid requirements with the recommendation, and that letter is provided in here. Just an item I wanted to point out that while the amount for Fox Ridge is within the overall budgeted amount for the year, should we move forward with the Veterans Park project this fiscal year, we will most likely have to come back for a budget amendment unless it comes in at a super low bid and keeps us under the $400,000 total. But I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to council discussion, comments. Alderman Santee?
I was just wondering, Martin 10, is that
Martum.
construction? Have we done work with them before? Have they done any construction here in town?
I don't believe they've done work in the county.
We didn't recognize them.
Okay, and yet, but you've worked with them prior?
Yeah, we worked in and around them. They're a big firm out of Elgin. They're very qualified to do this work.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Glad?
Yeah, all I was gonna say is Fox Ridge Park, where it's situated, it's so far away from any amenities. Probably the closest amenity would be the gas station over at Royal and Crystal Lake. So I'm happy to see that we are improving this park with those type of facilities.
Any other discussion by council? At this time, looking for a motion to approve item 11B as presented. Alderman Curry?
So moved.
Second. Alderman Schaefer?
Second.
Discussion on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Chad.
Next item on the agenda is to approve the transfer of a Class F2-10 liquor license from GAAGI to Incorporated DBA Riverside Shop and Go located at 1325 North Riverside Drive to J. Yumiyama Incorporated DBA Downtown Food and Liquor upon council approval and issuance of the state liquor license. I had the opportunity to meet with the new owners this afternoon, and this is their first location with a liquor license, so no past, obviously no past issues. Talked to them about the festivities that we do have in the downtown district and how they can enhance their business and be more involved. But so they're here this evening if you have any questions, at least one of them. Any questions by council, discussion? Alderman Santee?
If staff knows, or if I may ask the new owners, hours of operating.
You can come to the podium. If you could state your name for public record, please.
My name is Anil Kumar Patel, and I'll be the store manager there. And our store operation of hours, it's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. right now. And we would like to get it like 9 to 10. And Friday and Saturday we'll be doing 9 to 11.
So you're definitely looking at making an adjustment in your store hours. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what I need.
Thank you. Any other discussion by council? You may have a seat. Thank you. At this time, I'll open up to public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make public comment? I'm looking for a motion for item 11C as presented. Alderman Schaper.
I'll make that motion.
Second, Alderman Santee.
I will second the motion.
Discussion by council. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is to adopt an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2018-19 budget, increasing account 100.22.8300 in the amount of $38,771.24, and authorization to purchase 2 replacement police vehicles and equipment at the total not to exceed $79,001.96. This time I'm going to turn it over to Chief Burke.
Thank you, Mayor. On October 21st of this year, the police department had 2 marked patrol vehicles that were damaged beyond repair after being involved in the same motor vehicle accident. Staff has worked to find replacement vehicles, as these police patrol vehicles are a vital piece of equipment needed to provide police services. Staff is requesting City Council authorization to purchase 1 vehicle that has been located at Coons Country Ford in Antioch, and authorization to purchase a 2nd vehicle, if located, not to exceed the Illinois Joint Purchasing Contract pricing. The second request is being made so that staff can move quickly to purchase a vehicle when we locate it. And I'm available to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you, Chief. Discussion by council. Alderman Curry.
Yeah, question on the equipment, the ultra strobe equipment that gets installed. Is there no ability to move any parts of that from, I'm sure the vehicles, some of those
Typically we're able to, on an undamaged vehicle, we're able to move a good majority of the equipment from one vehicle to another. The equipment life on most squad car equipment is about 6 years, including the light bar, all the LED strobes and everything. These vehicles, one in particular was so badly damaged, there's not a whole lot that can be moved into that vehicle, although we are moving a good percentage. The cost estimates would be probably $3,000 higher per vehicle if we.
So you're already moving some of the equipment?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Ultra Strobe will come out and take out everything that's in those 2 wrecked vehicles and attempt to reuse anything that they can possibly out of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
I see that I was questioning the insurance. So for both vehicles, the replacement was only 40,000 plus.
Yeah, the
For the
replace.
equipment as well.
Yeah, the insurance replaces the actual full cost of the equipment. And then what they do is our insurance replaces what is the total, the value of the vehicle if they total it. They total both these vehicles. I believe one came in at 12,000 and one came in at 13,000 roughly, and then there's a $1,000 deductible that the city has. So once you take that dollar amount out, and then they give us one lump sum to try to get those two vehicles replaced.
And then that'll go toward the new vehicles as
Yes,
well.
right, yeah, that's why we're only asking for the 39,000, because the rest of it will come in an insurance check. This is a complete at-fault driver involved in this too, so our insurance company will be going after that driver who does have insurance to recoup this $39,000 or as much of it as they can as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, what is our policy, again, there's a reminder of how often we switch cars out? Is it every 5 years? Or?
With the marked patrol vehicles, we try to rotate them out every 3 years or 85,000 miles, whichever comes first. But we haven't met that goal in numerous years.
Right.
So,
And I'm just looking and saying, okay, you know, that.
that's our typical, that's our policy of record, that's what council had approved years ago.
Right, but I'm just looking at 2014, which was actually due to be replaced anyway, and just glad to see that wasn't a brand new vehicle that got smashed up.
There was a couple other I would have rather seen wrecked. There's a couple way over the 100,000 mile mark, so I would rather see those wrecked. These had a little bit of life left in them, but yes,
You never
you're
want to
absolutely
see
right.
anybody get in an accident, you know, potentially getting hurt, but if it's going to happen, at least it's nice that it falls into this realm.
The officers were very fortunate not to be in their cars at the time of the incident.
Absolutely, I saw the pictures on Facebook.
Alderman Schaefer?
Since the writing of this, have you been able to find another vehicle? You found one of two, right?
Not yet. The state contract holder is Morrow Brothers. So the other four dealerships, as long as they sell under the state contract pricing, Coons is actually giving us the car for less than the state contract. But Morrow Brothers is extremely busy. They have not returned any of our requests thus far. And we've normally had pretty good luck with them. They normally house the most in stock because they are the sole contract awardee through the state, and they're in Southern Illinois. I don't know, there's only one person, this is Southern Illinois, mind you, that handles the sale of police vehicles. I'm not sure if he's on vacation or what. We haven't actually heard back from him. We've had numerous phone
I
calls.
assume it's like other cars they have to purchase too, so their 2018 model year is just.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is now, so they stopped producing, believe it or not, they've already stopped producing the 2018 squad car, and they're actually not taking orders for the 2019 anymore, because they're gonna start making the 2020. So sometime in March of 2019, they get so far ahead of themselves sometimes, so we don't even right now, we couldn't order a new car if we wanted to. So we're limited, obviously, because we're trying to find a black vehicle. Our police vehicles are black with markings on them, so we do have a couple unmarked vehicles, so we can afford to get this one from Coons because we're replacing it blue for blue, but the other one's a fully marked vehicle. We want to make sure that we stick with that consistency.
During this downtime, do you still have enough vehicles for all the patrolmen, or how do you use older ones, or?
We do. They get driven more. So that, generally speaking, 2/3 of our fleet is driven 66% of the time, and 1/3 of our fleet is driven 100% of the time. So those numbers just skew a little bit now. So now we've got more people where cars running nonstop now.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? This time I'll open up for public comment. Is there any public input on this item? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion for 11D as presented. Alderman Santee?
I will make the motion for 11D as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Curry?
I'll second that.
Discussion on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderwoman McCandon?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the City of McHenry Municipal Code relating to alcohol liquor. I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to Chief Burke to present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this agenda item is for council to consider the adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 4 in its entirety, alcoholic beverages, based on recommendations being made by staff, specifically the city administrator, myself, and Attorney McCardle, with input from Mayor Jett. The goal of these revisions is to replace the city's current liquor ordinance with one that is updated to the city's current and future needs. And staff is available to ask any questions, answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Any input, discussion by council? Alderman Condon?
Just that, thanks to all of you who worked to put this together. I think makes much more sense than all the numbers, so I like it.
Alderman Curry?
Yeah, well, I'll echo the simplicity of it. I think it probably makes sense from that standpoint. I'm a little disappointed in that we'd had discussions in the past about some ways and possibilities of incorporating and I know you've got it on the application, question on the application, but incorporating a video gaming liquor license as a separate issue, as a method of, if you will, control. And so I'm a little disappointed that, we didn't get an opportunity to discuss that further before we have this presented to us. Because I still think that's something that we need to tackle, is to, how do we, for lack of a better word, control that going forward. And one of the methods that we did talk about briefly in the past was utilizing our liquor license ordinances to do that. And so, again, just disappointed that we haven't discussed that.
Any other discussion, comments? This time I'll open up to the public input. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment? Bless you.
Thank you.
I see none. At this time, looking for a motion for 11E as presented. Alderwoman Condon?
I will make that motion as, to approve as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Schaefer?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
No.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Sant?
Yes.
Thank you, council. The next item on the agenda is item 12, discussion amending the municipal code, chapter 14, offenses, miscellaneous article, is that 1 in general of the McHenry Municipal Code. Go ahead.
Yeah.
David, you want to go ahead and do this?
So this is the nuisance section of the municipal code, and we're trying to modify it. I don't know what happened to computers. It's got all this gibberish on the right side there. It wasn't that complicated when I wrote it. I must have pushed a button and it got complicated.
Or Helen did, blame Helen.
Well, I don't know. So the point of this is to clarify, this ordinance has never been addressed in my era. And we had an experience with it recently, so we're suggesting it be modified in the fashion that you can understand what the changes are here. There were changes, and I think that improves the clarity of it and perhaps the enforceability of it. And if it's, if no one has any comments or questions, or if you can read it, we'll bring it back at the next meeting for adoption and that type of thing. I just thought it should be brought here for discussion first because it's never been addressed. It's not that exciting.
Any discussion by council? Comments?
In fact, I don't think I've ever amended one in another town. But when you read it, it's, I don't know where the language came from. Probably a long time ago. It just needs to be updated.
Is, for clarity, is there, is the areas that are marked in red the changes in the overall verbiage?
Mine's even worse, it's black and white, so I have no
Oh,
idea.
I was gonna say, is there any way that you could clarify that with us?
Yeah, the red's the changes.
Okay.
Well, there are blue changes too.
Yeah.
You got blue on yours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's blue as well.
Blue and red.
I don't understand it. How come we're not all looking at the same thing?
Typically, if there's blue and red, there's just some two-way communication between two attorneys working on it. I can tell, we use this, I'm sorry, Dave.
There might have been.
David's red.
We use this
More red.
ordinance regularly on the police side, and everything that's not in red is in the ordinance now.
Mine are usually lineouts.
Or blue, there is some light blue, yes. There's two different offers.
Does this ordinance make it easier for you, chief, or what's?
This is specifically aimed at more about the noise. The disorderly conduct we use, it pretty much mirrors a lot of the state statute. And so we're good with that. We just added this, David added a section there for you guys to consider about the fine amounts. You know, across the board, as we've been looking at our ordinances, our fines are pretty low. They're very outdated when you consider the fine on a traffic ticket versus what you might get if.
Yeah, but it was to
violated.
clarify the enforcement of the noise.
And then the second section, the 14.8, was specific to some of the, we enforce noise, and there's a couple sections in there that were very horrible, and they weren't helping us out. We had some citations recently issued that didn't fend for us well in
Yeah,
adjudication.
the arbitrator had difficulty with some of the wording, and we're trying to improve on that.
Any other discussion?
So I'll bring this back to you at the next meeting in a better form.
Thanks, David. Next item on the agenda is staff reports. Is there any staff reports this evening? All right. Mayor and city council comments. You know, I wouldn't mind having a discussion item on the gaming. I think that's an important topic. You know, obviously, I made it very clear that I'm not for gaming, but I would love to have a conversation on it and discuss that and how we can, manage it. That's a good word, yeah. So that's all I got this evening. Any city council comments? Alderman Glavin?
Has anybody looked into, and I see that we have a county board member here, Kay Bates, might be able to help, but just recently, I guess, the county passed a noise ordinance, but I wonder how that affects the city. Now, I know it affects the county properties, but, well, let's just say like Fiesta Days. I mean, you know, I can hear the bands from Fiesta Days all the way at my house, on the other side of the lake, on the other side of 120. So I'm sure it goes out to the county. And I just kind of wonder, how does that get enforced? What can the county come in and enforce the noise coming from a municipality if it is infringing in the county?
Chief?
I can answer. Typically, the enforcement would be, we would handle the enforcement. But technically, if there was a violation that carried so far, and it met, and the county could come in and write a citation for it under the county ordinance.
Okay. So I think,
How are they gonna do
That wasn't the spirit of their noise ordinance anyways. That had to do with.
I know it wasn't the spirit, but the
Yeah.
problem winds up
Yeah.
is what is, you know, it's not the intent as much as what the word verbiage is. And you know that,
What
that's
they're
where
gonna-
you.
What they're really gonna do is they're gonna kick the call right to the police department here in McHenry, and we're gonna go and we're gonna handle it, and if there's a violation, we're gonna cite them.
I don't know, who enforces the county ordinances? The city of McHenry or the county police?
No, but our noise ordinance is more restrictive than what they have.
And I understand that, but I'm just saying, I'm just looking at the future. Will we have problems? And maybe we just need to look at that and.
Director Power.
This comes into play a lot this time of year with burning of leaves. You know, we have the outskirts of our city, we have county properties right next door, the smoke comes into the city of McHenry, and the chief, you can't do anything about those properties that are located in the county. Typically what we do is we call the county and say, hey, this is causing a nuisance in the city, and then the county usually responds with somebody, health department or somebody goes out there, their enforcement department, and takes care of it. But again, that's, you know, kind of working hand in hand with them.
And again, you know, Fiesta Days is the big one that you always think of when you think of, you know, how much music and everything else, but, you know, I just, I guess it was brought to light with me, somebody brought up, that they could hear hunting, you know, and guns going off, and, they're out in the county, but, supposedly there's this ordinance, and I have not read it. I've had discussions with a few people that supposedly have read it, and that just brings up the concern, and that's, maybe we can look up and see what that ordinance is and see if it will affect us, or if we have any concerns or not as far as it affecting us, and just send us an email or something on it, as an update.
We butt up with other municipalities and they have noise ordinances too. We'd never have an issue with this. If the
But this
noise
is-
is coming from our town, we handle it. If the noise is coming, Johnsburg, if they have a noise violation, we notify Johnsburg Police Department, they go over there and enforce it. If the noise violation's in our community, they notify us, we go over and enforce it. It's really a non-issue for us.
But do we enforce the county ordinances then?
They would be another jurisdiction, just like Johnsburg or Prairie Grove or Lakemore.
Correct. So, again.
We don't enforce county's ordinances.
Okay. So, what I'm getting at is our noise ordinance, you say, is more restrictive.
It doesn't, that's not the issue.
That's not the issue,
No,
exactly.
the issue is jurisdiction. They don't have any jurisdiction to enforce their ordinances in our city and vice versa. It's only the state crimes they translate over to.
Okay, so in other words, if there's a noise ordinance in the county and it impacts.
They're not gonna come in and charge a city resident with a county violation.
Okay, thank you. That's, I guess, it in a nutshell.
That would be, if I had a test question, that would be my answer, and I bet I'd get right.
Okay, let's look at it.
I mean, I'll look at that ordinance and see what it says.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so
I doubt
that's why
what it
I'm
says.
saying that. Okay.
I might get it wrong. Think of it.
50-50.
Yeah.
It's a 50-50 chance, I guess.
Any other city council comments? Alderman Condon?
I just wanted to wish everyone in the community as well as with staff, happy Thanksgiving.
And other council,
What?
and other council people, thank you.
Well, I thought that included the city.
Any other city council comments?
Yes, Jeff, you too.
None? At this time, we're gonna enter executive session. I would ask that everyone in the public please exit the room once we make a motion to enter executive session.
Except Randy, why don't
Randy, you can
we'll
stay.
start with you and get you over with, that would be good.
Property acquisition, litigation, right?
Probable litigation. Okay? Thank you all for coming. At this time, looking for a motion. At this time, looking for a motion to enter executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Alderman Santi, second. Alderman Curry.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
All right. Hey Randy, how are you?
Springfield.
Oh.
Well, I just missed it.
Are we good?
Motion to approve the third amended
All
total
right.
agreement.
Item 16 on the agenda is a motion to extend to the amended and restated standstill, AKA tolling agreement with Meyer Material Company dated July 10, 2018. Looking for a motion, Scott.
So moved.
Second, Alderman Santee.
Second. What's the time frame? What are we talking about?
December
8 days?
18th.
You have that thing there?
Through which one?
Is there a big on top?
Through December 18th. After our next.
Okay, yeah, yeah, 12/18,
Yeah, gotcha.
which is the day after our last meeting
Right.
in December.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
You need to vote on that.
Oh, do I need to vote on that?
Oh,
Yes.
Mayor.
No, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the 12th.
No, I don't need to vote on that, right?
Yeah. It's an amendment to an annexation agreement, isn't it?
Tolling agreement.
Just
Oh, it's Joe.
extension.
I didn't vote last time.
All right.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Santos.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second. Why is this every week? Everyone should be like raising hands right now. Alderman Devine? All right, thank you. Call the roll, please.
Alderman Santi?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Curry?
Yes.
Alderman Schaper?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Thank you.